Today, Apple announced updated versions of their Apple Watch and iPhones, but are they even worth it? Hi, welcome to Zgadgetreview. Apple held a pretty lengthy conference today where they gave us updates on their upcoming Apple Watch Series 9, iPhone 15, iPhone 15 Pro, iPhone 15 Max. There are some changes on these devices and some of the prices are actually holding the same, which is a good thing. Some other prices are not. So let's get started with the first thing that they talked about. And this is going to be the Apple Watch Series 9 or S9, I guess. So let's get started with pricing and availability. These devices, everything you're going to see in this video is available on September 22nd. Now the Apple Watch Series 9 is going to be retailing at $399 for the regular vanilla watch and $499 if you want GPS plus a cellular connection. So there's a $100 difference there. The new device is going to have a new redesigned S9 chip, which they say is 30% faster than the previous chip. This is going to allow you to have a more advanced Ping My iPhone. So when you're looking for your iPhone type of thing, this is going to allow you to do kind of what you're able to do with the AirTags, where the watch is going to tell you how far away you are. And as you get closer, the watch is going to give you sound and haptic feedback to let you know that you are getting closer. Kind of like a cold and hot game, but with your watch. And for real. Thanks to the new S9 chip, the watch will recognize when you're close to a HomePod device. And when you're close to a HomePod device, it's going to open your main menu and it's going to give you suggestions of entertainment that you can play on that HomePod. Now, if you're already using your HomePod and you're listening to music, for example, once you get close enough to the HomePod, your watch will immediately change the face and show you the music controls. The coolest feature that's coming to the new Apple Watch is what they're calling double tap, and that entails you tapping with your thumb and index finger at the same time and do kind of like this gesture. Now, the way it does it is it uses a combination of the gyroscope and accelerometer and your heart rate sensor to read the movement in your hand and the change on blood flow, they say, when you're doing the gesture. That way the watch won't confuse any other gestures that you might do when you're talking. Now, some other things that you'll be able to do with the double tap gesture is start a phone call, end the phone call. You can hit your snooze if you have an alarm. You can do this and hit the snooze as many times as you want, which I think is a little dangerous because it's a lot easier to do this on your hand if you don't want to wake up than to actually, go searching for your phone. If you have it on a side table, you have to actually reach, grab the phone and, press the button or whatever it is you got to do to go into snooze. You can start and stop timers. There's going to be a plethora of things you're going to be able to do just by doing this gesture. And I think that's actually one of the coolest things that this watch has that I haven't seen in any other watches. Now, the watch is also going to have improved crash detection. It is going to hit up to 2000 nits in brightness. One of the biggest things that they announced that kind of sounded good, but then it didn't as the more you heard about it, was that they are saying that this product is going to be the first carbon neutral product. But as I said, there are some caveats as the more you get into it. So one of the things that they say is that the packaging is going to be reduced. So you're going to be able to pack more watches in a container. That way you can ship more at once instead of having to do multiple trips and, get the environment dirty. Supposedly, Apple is going to anticipate the amount of electricity that people are going to use while they're charging their watch and invest in renewable energy projects to kind of offset that use. How they're going to do this, I don't really know. My assumption is that they'll go based on the amount of people that buy the product equals the amount of electricity that these people are going to be using. As a corporation, you also gotta keep in mind that they're not necessarily going to be doing this forever. And people who keep watches for years, how do they offset that balance? you have an amount of watches that you buy, right? Let's say you have 10 million watches that are purchased, meaning that you need to spend whatever amount of money that equals to renewable energy projects. But again, as a corporation, you're not going to be spending that money all the time. So where are the calculations of like people not using the watch anymore or people passing away and all those things that come into the use of that amount of watches that declines with time? I will say that I call that a great thing to say and to throw out there, but in practice, there is a lot of stuff that obviously I didn't go into detail that I would like to know about. Apple will stop using leather in their products. So the watch bands are not going to be leather. So that's a good step on the right direction. Look, I'm not crapping on Apple and their environmental pursuit because they seem to be doing a lot of good things in order to be better about the environment and the impact that the company has on the environment. So I am not. All I'm saying is a little more transparency on all these promises and things will be good. Colors are going to be pink, starlight, red, silver, and midnight. Those are for the aluminum cases. And for the stainless steel case is going to be gold, silver, and graphite. Now let's move on to the Apple Watch Ultra 2. Again, this device is going to be available on September 22nd and is going to cost you $799. This does include the GPS and cellular connection. The watch is going to use all the same features that you can find on the regular Apple Watch. So the tapping gesture, double tap gesture is going to be available there. This watch is going to hit up to 3000 nits of brightness. It will allow you to connect external Bluetooth devices when you're cycling so you can keep track of your speed and other things that the watch might not be able to do for you. And they, of course, said that the connectivity is going to be much better on this device. Now, another thing that they said is that this watch is also technically carbon neutral, but they didn't say technically. They were very specific about the wording on this because they said that it was carbon neutral as long as the watch was paired with an alpine loop or trail loop. The watch is going to have a 95% recycled titanium in the casing. Again, 100% recycled cobalt on the battery. Again, that's what I'm saying. There's that wording that says, well, this is, you're throwing around the word carbon neutral, but it really isn't carbon neutral unless you pair it with these specific loops or whatever, the bands. And the same thing they're saying about the Apple Watch SE. The Apple Watch SE technically is also carbon neutral as long as you pair it with the right wristband. That's where things fall apart in their carbon neutral statement to me. To me, a product is carbon neutral once the product goes out. You cannot leave it to the consumer to decide or to figure out what it is that they have to do to make this product carbon neutral. That's just my little rant there about carbon neutrality. Let's go into the iPhone 15. So the iPhone 15 is going to launch again September 22nd. It's going to cost $799 with 128 gigs of storage. The iPhone Plus is going to be $899, 128 gigs. And if you have an iPhone 11 or newer, you can trade it in for one of these devices and you will get up to $800 in credit. The device is going to have Super Retina XDR display, which uses OLED technology, which to me means that it's an OLED display, right? It hits up to 1600 nits peak HDR in brightness indoors, because if you take this device outdoors, it will hit up to 2000 nits peak in brightness in HDR. Why not just let it hit 2000 no matter what? Like maybe burning. It's going to come in two sizes. The iPhone 15 plain vanilla is going to be 6.1 inches, and the iPhone 15 Plus, because it's plus size, is going to be 6.7 inches. And these phones are getting bigger than me. Colors are going to be black, green, yellow, blue, and the new edition, pink. The screen, of course, is going to have that ceramic shield, which is supposed to make it more resistant to hitting it and dropping it. And it's also going to use 100% recycled copper in the main logic board and the MagSafe charger. The camera is going to be a whopping 48 megapixel main camera. It is going to have a 12 megapixel 2x telephoto zoom. Now, the device also has continuous zoom when you are shooting video. So if you're shooting a video in 4K and you have it on the 2x telephoto zoom, you're going to have a smooth continuous zoom there. So you won't have those choppiness that sometimes happens when you're changing zooms onto something, if you're zooming into something or away from something. Portrait mode is getting a boost, and there are some pretty cool changes on this. So to begin with, it will be able to detect people way better than before, so it won't chop off your ears or hair, things like that. They give the example with a picture of this dog here. As you can see, technically in a perfect environment, this dog looks all in one piece. None of its bits have been cut off by the bokeh effect. The device also is going to be able to detect if you're taking a picture of a person and make it into a portrait picture. Now, you can go afterwards and remove the portrait effect if you want to do that. The other thing that you're going to be able to do is if you're taking a picture of two different people, let's say one in the foreground and one in the background, you can choose which person you want to be in focus. And so they're adding focus and depth control. And you can do it while you're taking the picture, or you can do it in post. So once you take the picture, the iPhone 15 is going to come with a new chip, the A16 Bionic. Now this chip is going to offer better graphics. It is going to use 20% less power than the A15 did. And thanks to this chip, you're going to be able to do all those magic things with your pictures. Now, thanks to this chip, you will be able to use the same feature that you have on the watch to find somebody else with your phone. So the example that they gave here is if you're meeting somewhere in a crowded place, like a market, for example, right? And you're looking for this person, or you're maybe on the phone and you're like, where are you? This is where I am. Where are you? Oh, this is where I am. And then you're trying to find each other. It's going to eliminate that. So you're going to be able to walk following the prompts on the phone until you find the person you're looking for. Hopefully you're happier than these people on the video that they showed, because these people don't look very, very happy to have found each other. And the thing we all knew that was going to happen was the announcement of USB-C ports on the iPhone 15. And I just loved the way they announced this, because the way they announced this, you will have thought that Apple had just gone and be like, hey, let's just do this because everybody, is doing it and we're going to be with everybody. Of course, they failed to say that they were forced by the EU to do it, that if they didn't comply, they wouldn't be able to sell their products in the EU. Of course, they didn't say that they fought it. They didn't say that they went to court for this. Of course, they're saying you're going to be able to use your USB-C cable to charge all these products that support USB-C within the Apple lineup. The iPhone Pro is going to launch for $999 at 128 gigs of storage. They said this is the same price of last year's device. The iPhone Pro Max is going to launch for $1,199, $1,200, and this is going to have 256 gigs of storage. They also say that this is going to be the same price as last year. Available for pre-order this Friday, launching on September 22nd. Now, if you have an iPhone 11 or newer, you can trade it in to get up to $1,000 in credit. This device was really funny in their announcement because of all, the big marketing words that they were throwing around. So the device is going to be titanium. It's going to have a titanium body. This is supposedly going to be the most pro iPhone ever created. I feel like I've heard that before. Like, haven't I said that shit before? Now, this is also going to use titanium, which is the most premium material ever used by an iPhone. So this is the most premium pro device you can ever get. It's going to have that toughest glass thanks to that ceramic shield, but I guess that will be the toughest glass on all devices since they all use ceramic shields. That device is going to come at 6.1 inches for the iPhone 15 Pro, and the iPhone 15 Pro Max is also going to be 6.7 inches. I told you, the announcement marketing wise for this device is kind of ridiculous, because have you ever thought, wouldn't it be cool to own a piece of the Mars rover? Wouldn't it be cool to have a small piece of NASA in my hands? Well, don't you worry, because this titanium is the same titanium used by the Mars rover. Now, this titanium is going to be stronger than regular titanium because, of course, leave it to Apple to make everything better than it already is. So we have a grade 5 titanium, which it has a higher strength than regular titanium. So this is a stronger titanium than even titanium was able to make itself. Now, before you get on the comments and go like, you don't know what you're talking about, blah, 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 I believe them, okay? I believe them. I just think that their marketing BS is really, really funny and ridiculous. The colors for the device are going to be black titanium, white titanium, blue titanium, and of course, just regular natural titanium. Now, one of the biggest changes that are coming to this phone, to me, is going to be the little toggle that you have in order to make your phone silent. Is going to change and is going to become an action button. Don't worry, it is still going to have the same functionality. If you press it, you can mute your ringer. If you press it again, it'll unmute the ringer. So this new so-called action button is going to be a programmable button. You're going to be able to use it to open apps. You're going to be able to use it to open the camera, to do your flashlight. Technically, anything that you want this button to do on your phone quickly without having to, unlock the phone is going to do for you. Oh, but another cool thing that you weren't expecting and they wanted to blow your mind is that while you're charging your phone, now you can see this. Yes, exactly. You can see a watch, you can see your alarm, you can see some information. You can see information on your phone while the phone is charging. Now, this is a new feature that is being finally added to iPhones. But all the new iPhone 15 upgrades and cool things don't just stop there. And I'm being serious now, I'm not messing around. The new A17 Pro chip is going to have a new GPU, and it's going to be 6 cores, which is going to be 20 times faster than the previous chip. But the coolest thing to me that makes this device is the fact that you're going to be able to have hardware ray tracing in games. It's going to be hardware accelerated ray tracing, which is of course better than software ray tracing, and is going to allow games on this with ray tracing. And they gave these examples that you are seeing. The other thing is that they're going to have big publishers bringing big games. Well, this isn't going to be a big game. The Division Resurgence is going to be a Ubisoft mobile game coming to the iPhone thanks to the A17 Pro chip. The biggest thing to me was that Resident Evil Village and Resident Evil 4 are also going to be running on the iPhone, and not a mobile version of these games, but the actual console version of these games. Of course, I'm sure these games are going to look great on the little screen and everything, but they're going to be, lower resolution and all those things when you play it. Because, the A17 Pro chip might be great, but, a PC, it is not. And one of the biggest things that they announced to me, I know I already said, it sounds like I said that, but the biggest thing they announced to me was that the new Assassin's Creed Mirage is going to be coming to the iPhone as well. And not a mobile version of the game, but the actual console version of the game. So this phone is getting powerful enough where you can have console versions of games in the phone. Now that is pretty cool. Let's talk camera, because camera is one of the most important things on these devices. I will say this is the reason why a lot of people buy these devices, is because of the camera. And the camera won't disappoint this time around either. We have a 48 megapixel camera. Is going to have less lens flare. It is going to have a better low light performance. It's going to have 2 times better low light performance in portrait mode. So your phone is going to be able to take better portrait pictures in low light situations. You're going to be able to have high-res images at 24 millimeters, 28 millimeters, and 35 millimeter focal length. And the other thing you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to choose the default lens when you open your camera. The reason is because obviously these devices are geared more towards people who use the camera for video or pictures in a more professional setting, right? I mean, just walking around taking pictures of your kids. And so the idea is that because these people have a more nuanced use of the device, that you'll be able to pick that camera that you want to have when you're ready to do work. And you'll see, the more I talk about what this camera can do on not only pictures but video, you're going to notice that that's exactly the way they're going. Let's talk about optical zoom. Optical zoom is going to have a 12 megapixel 3x telephoto camera at 77 millimeter focal length. But they're also introducing something that's just nuts, okay? They're introducing a zoom that's 12 megapixels, 5x telephoto camera at 120 millimeters. Now, 120 millimeters is a big lens, okay? It's a pretty big lens. And what they're doing is they are cramming it into that space of the phone. The phone hasn't gotten any bigger. The phone's still the same size. And the way they're doing it is they're letting the light bounce 4 times through the glass before it hits the sensor. Now, also adding that padding, I guess you can call, of the glass in front of the sensor creates that distance that they need in order to do the 120 millimeter effect. The other camera is going to be the ultra wide camera, which is going to have a 12 megapixel at 13 millimeter focal length and is going to have improved macro. Of course, the iPhone 15 Pro is also going to have USB-C connectivity. And of course, they're touting how useful it is because now you're going to be able to shoot video and have it go directly into an external SSD or any storage that you might use. So again, they're going into this whole thing that, hey, the USB-C is great for use, which is something that people have wanted for freaking long time. The device is going to shoot in ProRes 4K. You're going to get up to 4K 60 Hertz refresh rates. The iPhone 15 Pro is going to use log encoding. And this is going to allow it to be the first phone to support ACES, which is the Academy's color and encoding system. The Academy is the Motion Picture Academy, the ones that puts the Oscars every year. The phone is going to be able to meet those qualifications, and they say, of course, it's going to be easier for special effects and color coding, which I'm going to get to that too because I think is a bunch of marketing stuff too. This device is going to be the first device that is going to support spatial video. Spatial video is a 3D type video. And this is in preparation to the upcoming Apple Vision Pro. So this is technically going to be the first device that is going to be able to do spatial video, aka content, for the upcoming Apple Vision Pro. This isn't going to be available right away. They say it's going to be coming later in the year. So that is everything that was announced by Apple. Now, I do have some things with this whole Pro line of stuff, right? So these are my things. As a content creator, and maybe you're watching this and you're thinking of buying one of these devices for content creation. In my opinion, it's not worth it, okay? And why isn't it worth it? Because you can get a better camera for about the same price. Most likely you do have a phone in your pocket right now. Maybe you're watching this on a phone. Technically, the phone that you have right now is good enough for whatever you want to do. And as a content creator, you most likely actually need 2 cameras. One camera, which will be your main camera, like we're talking right now. Same camera you can use for your B-roll and all your stuff. But depending on the type of content that you're doing, you may need an overhead camera. And that overhead camera can be a phone. And it doesn't have to be a super expensive phone. And so the fact that the Apple is going all out and making this into this cinematic thing, like they've been doing for the last few years, if you have the money to buy one of these things, if you have $1,200 to spend on an iPhone Pro Max, don't. Use your money for a real camera that is going to last you a long time, a real camera that you don't have to worry that the software isn't working correctly so your images aren't coming out the right way, a camera that you can have for a long, long time. And this whole ACES thing that they're talking about, the Academy, color, whatever, that's again, that's marketing BS. Okay, I was in the industry for a while. Nobody cares about that. People use what they have available for them to make their movies, to make their miniseries, to make their web series, whatever you want to call it. They use what they have in hand. Because if people were worried about this whole ACES thing that Apple is pushing right now with their new marketing, then there wouldn't be any independent filmmakers. Independent filmmakers, most of the time, if they don't have the backing of a studio, that means they don't have a lot of money. That means that they have to use whatever they have available in their hand to make their movie or to make their TV show or whatever it is that they're making. And trust me, they're using a phone or a cheap camera they have there. Because at the end of the day, all that matters is that what you're doing is you're passionate about, that what you're doing is something that you want to do, and that you have the people to support you and help you make it in the cheapest thing that you can find. And if the story is good and you shot it right, people are going to watch it. People are going to care about it. So, sounds cool, but it's a bunch of BS. I'm starting to think that there's not a lot on these things to make people excited about buying something like this. I mean, the whole Pro Max thing, the incentive is that it's titanium, okay, and you can see things when you're charging it, okay. But is that enough to spend money on a new device? I feel like we are at a point in this type of devices, watches and phones, where companies could skip a year to give us a new device, right? So if we have 2023, that we wouldn't have another one until 2025. And they could do just software updates on the device because the device is still going to be good next year. Next year, this phone isn't going to be trash compared to the iPhone 16. So I feel like not only Apple, I'm talking about Google and Samsung and all companies, I think they will benefit from giving us a year rest in between iterations of devices. But of course, it's probably never going to happen. Some of the features are pretty cool. Like I said, the double tap is really cool and some of the things that are really cool, but I don't think it's enough. So that is it for the video. If you have any questions, comments, anything about Apple that you would like me to know or anybody to know, go ahead and tell us in that comment section. That is it for me. Go ahead and subscribe, give us a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. Go ahead and hit that bell so you can be alerted every time we have new videos. And thank you very much for watching.